Hello everyone, Krydax here, and welcome back to pYanodon's Season 3. In our last episode, we got AUGs up and running, which is awesome. I mean, we just got started with it, we still need to do the actual build. And another thing to consider is we need to produce a lot of AUG stuff, also known as manure. Where was it? I haven't had very much coffee yet today, so we might be going a little slow in this episode. Bear with me. Bear with me. Because, you know, AUGs are kind of like bears. Ah, coffee's delicious. Okay, so we had slated for this amount of batteries, we needed... Yeah, I think that's all the right numbers. Mostly cyanic acid. When do we get a new recipe for cyanic acid? We technically already have one. That's interesting. So, because we're going to end up with a lot of extra ammonia here, and there is a recipe that turns ammonia into cyanic acid by combining it with methane and coal. Not very cheap though, but this could cut our AUG usage in half. For what methane cost? I'm probably not going to do this, but you know, I like learning. This is just a Zen garden, we're just tending to it. So learning is part of tending to the Zen garden. And so what I want to look at is how much methane were we making for PyScience back in the day? Or no, for circuits. Oh, we were only making 4 methane a second. Okay. So to turn 4 ammonia into 4 cyanic, it would be 4 methane a second, because those were the same amounts, and about 1 coal a second. I mean, that's totally doable, actually. Now that I'm looking at it. Like, yeah, you have to involve moondrops, which is a pain in the butt, but it's totally, totally doable. Interesting. Well, we'll keep that in mind for the future. This looks like the other main way to do it later, with a turd. And this requires Pi2 tech. And that requires purple, which, you know, I'm not even gonna think about that right now. Alright, so yeah, that's basically the only way to get cyanic for a long time, is that way. Interesting. Okay, well, let's get 2x6 AUG pastures here. How much space do we need between them? 4? Just the classic, you know, belt in, belt out sushi build. And how expensive is AUG food? Because it's kind of looking attractive here. It makes an average of, what, 8.5 manure, whereas this makes an average of 5.5. So that's a pretty huge boost, more than 50% boost. Oh, manure decays? Oh, it decays into rich clay. Oh. Interesting. Rich clay. Cyanic compost into 8 biomass. Wow, lots of interesting things just happened in my brain. Because rich clay is normally kind of tricky to get. You don't really need it at all right now for anything. And we can just get it with ash later, though it's a lot of ash. So maybe it's not that hard to get. But you use it for, what? Ground samples, that's what it is. That's the main thing you need it for a while. And that's used in the green science, actually. Yeah. So we're gonna need some rich clay. Manure spoils, huh? Just wonderful. Just wonderful. Yet another reason to use the sushi build. Sushi builds are amazing for spoilable things. As long as you have proper handling set up. Because then you don't need to worry about all sorts of special inserters and whatnot. You can just run things. Alright. So we'll do this. I think these buildings are all touching, despite the fact that it looks like they're kind of not. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure we're not going to do AUG food right now because it's just complex. I think we want to wait for trains. AUG food. Oh, we can't. It needs Relasia. Yeah, we haven't done Relasia yet. Yeah, and I'm not even sure if this is worth it. The 5 Flora. The 5 Flora is compensated for, right? Because you're saving by getting 50% more manure, because 3 to 8, 11 and a half, 5, that is 5.5. That's 17 divided by 2 is 8.5. So 5.5 to 8.5 is, you guys love the math, I know you do. 54% more product, which means I probably should go the other way. Which means it's only 2/3 of the ingredients are used for the same result. So what that means is we're saving 1/3 of the flora, basically. So that's like saving 7 flora, right? So 3 AUG food. Well, we actually save on flora rather than spend. Now, obviously, the moss is not quite a savings, but it's basically, you know, equivalent. Like, it's more or less the same amount of moss. Not a huge difference. But then, obviously, the Relasia, seaweed, plastic, and steam are extra costs that we didn't have before, which are quite large. Relasia is not that fast, if I'm remembering correctly, and plastic is not something we have a good recipe for yet, so yeah, that's definitely not happening. All right, so this thing is good to go. Man, 2x6 is gonna be really long. I guess 3x4 isn't that bad because I could wind the belt around. Huh. And this feels like a spot we should use underground belts to make it even skinnier. Because when a build is this big, saving a couple tiles actually helps a lot. So I can do all the way in like this. And then like this. And that should save quite a lot of space. Why is that so loud? That little clicking sound. It's not normally. I wonder if it scales with the size of the building. Alright, did we set them all correctly? I believe we did. So, now we need some sort of belting system. And I might want to control... This is the thing I'm trying to figure out right now, is like, are we going to want to control the number of AUGs? Like we could have the buildings stop running at a certain point, but then we're gonna spoil whatever manure we've currently been making. So that's the danger of stopping buildings that have spoilables. But if we stop the inserters, then I mean we're gonna spoil flora either way. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I don't know if it really matters. Also, I'm realizing we need a lot of inserters here because we need an in and an out for each. So maybe this underground, maybe we can handle a little bit more space. No, I want to make it work. I want to make it work. So we'll start with, you know, the belt's coming in from outside, and then it does an initial under, and then you've got 2 spaces, and then you've got 2 spaces. So we've got in, out, in, out, power, uh-oh. Power. This is a mess. Out. Wait, what am I doing? Out, out, in, in. There we go. Okay. They both got in and out. And then power's hooked up. And then this has to connect to the next one, and the power has to connect to the next one, which I don't think that will, so we need one probably here. So then that should tile. Let me go back the other way. And then we've got ourselves a sushi loop. Sushi loopy. Should I put the mixer back here? No, no, we should put the mixer where we can read it. Oh man, the pathing here is just a travesty. I think Squeak Through's not making it easier, because then they can sort of path through the little gaps in the buildings, but then they don't always do it right. Alright, Sushi Loopy is done now. Now for the tricky part. So we do need water barrels. I'll do that down here. I mean, we need to handle a lot of things. So we need to handle water barrels, we need to handle moss, we need to handle flora, we need to handle flora spilinin showing up. Which I might just start recycling. The steam cost is relatively low, and then we'll just do something with the biomass. Just throw it in a boiler, maybe. Honestly, yeah, I like it. Because the power, you know, steam is not that big of a deal anymore now that we have 600 megawatts available. So I'll do an electric boiler. All right, I need to go pick up some more ingredients. All right, so what am I low on these days? Need a few steam engines. Pipes, 500 is kind of my happy spot. We're actually doing pretty good on most things. Take a few more belts. Engines. Air cores? Yeah, 300's good on those. Small parts, I like 4 to 5 stacks. Power poles, 3 stacks. Okay, it's mostly the iron plates that we need then. And various other sundries. Iron. I don't need this much zinc. But I'm not storing zinc anywhere. Here, zinc goes in there. And then steel is something that always sneaks up on me. Steel, duralumin. We need for quite a few things, actually. Same with lead. Tin, we don't need this much, actually. Tin plates are not an ingredient in very many buildings. And then we do need more pipes. So let's repurchase all of the pipes that we need at the shopping mall. I'm feeling quite relaxed and zen today. Maybe it's tiredness, but it's not bad. Having a good day so far. How are you guys? I hope you're doing well. Pyanodon's is just, it's cool because there's just always more, you know? Like, I think that's what I like. Anyone who's watched much of my channel, you'll know that I like these expert mod packs, as they're called in Minecraft. I just tend to prefer a gameplay experience where I actually am never gonna run out of stuff to do. Like, games where I'm like, oh, there's only like 20 hours of gameplay, like that makes me not want to play it because then I'll run out of stuff. So yeah, there's just something about this promise of like, I'll probably never get to all of this, which means it's effectively infinite stuff to do, you know, in a way. And like the dream, like, ooh, super steel with hot air, you know, even though like, actually this might happen, but I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll all happen. Maybe this is the run. Maybe this is the run where we'll finally beat pyanodons. I'm certainly taking the approach that is necessary to finally beat pyanodons. Will it actually happen? I'm not 100% sure, but I certainly am taking the correct approach for it. Anyway, what were we doing? We needed to do the fluorospalanin recycling thing, which requires planter boxes. Of course it does. I could just grab soil and then handcraft the planter boxes, but since I have a bunch of planter boxes already, you know, I am tired of this becoming an issue. So let's make it not an issue. In fact, we could probably... No, I guess we can only go across 8 tiles. I'm very close, by the way, of reinstalling my Krydax's pYtweaks mod just to have slightly longer wire reach. I am really not a fan of the short wire reach. Yeah, I'm just not a fan. Alright, we'll bring planter boxes. And then we can craft ourselves a botanical nursery. And then that nursery will get plopped over here somewhere. Let's also get lamps. Let there be light. Okay, so if you're gonna reprocess fluorospalanin, then you're gonna need just steam. That is quite nice. Okay. So the thing I'm more worried about is rich clay. What can you even do with rich clay? Nothing? Not really. I mean, we're just gonna have to burn it. Obviously, we need it for ground samples, and that's worth considering using it that way. And in fact, we don't get the ash recipe until... Or no, we do get the ash recipe before green science. Okay. So that's probably what we'll just use. How much rich clay do we actually need? Did I even put it into my ingredients list here? No, I didn't do ground samples. Nor did I do biological samples. That's silly of me. Okay, we're talking 0.032 rich clay per second, which, if we're using the ash recipe, is only... I mean, it's not even 0.1 ash per second. That is basically 0 ash. We could produce that ash in a multitude of ways. Okay, I'm not worried about that. And then the bone meal is bones and steam. So we'll need another 0.084 bones. That's actually not... That's a much larger portion of what we need here. That amount of bones is not insignificant, and that might change my processing. Who are we gonna choppy? Yeah, see, now if we do augs, we need more bones than anything else. I really should have written down who's good at what. 0.167. 0.056. No, that's about the same amount of augs. It's a little bit more augs than we had before, but it's not that different. And we need the augs because they do better on the blood front and the meat front, which is useful for other stuff. So I think augs for choppy is what we want. Which means right. Which means we're gonna need to produce this loop for the choppy of augs. But how many? 0.05 per second. So that's only like 2 aug enclosures running. That's not bad at all. 0.05, yeah. I mean, I can literally just add another one over here. And in fact, I am feeling a little bit guilty about the spacing of all this. I don't think we left enough space up here. So I'm gonna move this all down like an entire aug pasture. Aug paddock. My bots are not gonna love me for this, but they'll figure it out. Eventually. Maybe. Oh gosh. Oh goodness. They really do not like these narrow spaces. They figure it out eventually, but it takes them a while. It is fun to watch. I'm not gonna lie. Like, Nanobots is way more boring than this. I don't know if boring is what you want, maybe sometimes, but it certainly is more boring. And the little sound effects, they're so cute. Come on, guys, you can do it. There you go. Now, do I want to control these? Or do I just want to make manure ad infinitum? I mean, what we could do is just control the flora supply into the loop. Here we go. So there'll be our mixer. Actually, I want that to be on the end. So then we can input a bunch of stuff here and then it gets mixed nicely. And then we'll just go ahead and hook this up preemptively for measuring. Oh, whole belt readers have completely changed Factorio and I love it. I'm here for it. Now, the only problem here, I guess I should do it like this, is because I want to have space for side loading on the other side of this belt. So then we could, you know, bring things in like this and side load on that side. Okay, and the mixer's nice and long, which gets things spaced out pretty well, pretty quick. I don't know why this is such a fun idea to me, but it's like, you know, let's say you had 4 items in a row. Well, 2 of them are gonna stay basically in a row. They're gonna be spaced out by 1 item space now, but you know, half of them kind of stay not spaced out. But then the other 2 are gonna go on here. And then one of them's gonna get plopped on, but then one of them's gonna stay on here, and then one of them's gonna get plopped on. So now you've got like this nice even spacing. But what if there were 8? Well, 4 would move on, but 4 would get into the spacer, and then 2 would kind of stay together. So you'd have a chunk of 4, a chunk of 2, and then a chunk of 1. So, you know, it's just powers of 2, obviously, but you're cutting all your chunks in half, and then you're cutting the next chunk in half, and it just provides this nice little recursion. I love recursion. I'll just say that. Anyway, now I have space for a couple more augs up here and stuff if we want. And I'm gonna have to make more moss. I'm fully aware of this. Don't worry. I am aware. I am aware. Moss. And these are going to be controlled based on belt contents. This is controlled based on belt contents. Flora. What's the number that we go for here? So the length is 62 times 2 is 124 times 4 is 4, basically 500 exactly per lane. $500 per lane. I'll just do 125. Use a fourth of that. And rate-wise, we need twice as much flora as we need moss. Is 125 enough? All of these together, that's the wrong rate, by the way. Because that's not with the AUG modules in there. Hold on, let's get the actual math here. We have AUGs, we can do it. In fact, we have all the AUGs we need. Look at that. Okay, the actual rate is, oh, right, it's a lot. 5 per second. Oh my gosh. That's intense. Okay, so we need, I mean, that means we need, I think this is true math that I'm thinking right now. If we need 5 per second, then that means we need 2/3 of the belt to be full of native flora. Like we need 2/3 compression. And if we already decided there's 500, technically there's another, 60? There's really like 600 squares-ish here. And we need 2/3 of that to be full. That means I would need 400 flora on one side. So I'm gonna go with 450, and we're gonna put moss on the other side. And water on the other side. Because how many water barrels do we need? Only 1.2. So yeah, moss plus water is still less than flora altogether. And then I should also put the empty barrels and the manure on the same side as those two. All of those combined should be fine. I could also put empty barrels in with the flora. Maybe I'll do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think it's about the same either way, actually. But if the flora is on the outside... Oh, you know what? Never mind. We're just going to put it all on the same side because we've only got one outserter each. So the outserter should go to the inside. So you offset that, and you offset that. And then we copy that into each setting. Right. I just realized my mistake, and you guys realized this a while ago. we've doubled up on the inserters for these buildings. Which is technically not a problem, but we really don't need it. You know, we'll save on UPS if we do this. I know I just made quite a large number of you facepalm by mentioning UPS at this stage of the game, but you know, I gotta do it. All right, anyway, we'll do this. No, I didn't mean to hook that up yet. Whoops. So then, so moss is on the inside and the outputs are on the inside, and then we'll do the water barrels on the inside, which will be over here or something. So we'll do water barrels there. Water barrel is less than, what did we decide for this? Wait, that's too many. How did I get 24? 3, 6, 9, 12. We need 1.2 water barrels. So we said that was 500. So we need 250 moss, 125 water barrels. So moss, 250 water barrels, 125 flora. That's not what I wanted. I grabbed the upgrade planner instead of the green wire. 450. No, we'll just make it the full 500. Why not? And then is there one other thing? No, there's only 3 ingredients. That's it. Oh, the one other thing is that I wanted to have a restriction on the flora as well here. That it only runs if the manure isn't backed up. Because we need to pull off a few things here. We need to pull off manure. We need to pull off empty barrels. And we need to pull off... Ooh, this is getting a little busy. Manure, empty barrels, and fluorospilinin, and rich clay. Maybe those are going to be more rare, so I'll probably just use inserters for those two. But we need to pull these 2 off, which means we need to keep measuring this belt and this belt as part of the same overall network. And then we wanted to connect this one if manure is backed up to... Well, maybe I should just do... No, because manure spoils. Well, that's actually an even better reason to use a chest. For reasons. So if manure... I can understand why people are leaving spoilage off. Like, I'm still on the fence. The more we play with it, the more I'm feeling like the solution is kind of just the same everywhere, and it's starting to get a little more boring. But I think it'll be maybe more interesting again when we get to trains. I don't know. So I'm a little bit on the fence still with spoilage for pie. Anyway, if the manure is less than 10, and we'll just... What's our total manure rate here? 132. So we'll just do our favorite trick of diagonal inserters. Well, I guess they're not diagonal, they're just right angle inserters, which is far less of a crime. Okay, so we're measuring that. That should work. That will prevent spillinen from running in. We'll set up the water barrel thing. So water barrels. How many water barrels was it? 1.2. Am I hitting M for map view or tab for map view? I just realized I have an extra hotkey. Whichever one I'm not using, I can delete. And then we'll have another hotkey. I think I'm hitting M. I think I'm just so muscle memoried into hitting M that I've forgotten tab is now the map view. Interesting. Okay, well, anyway. This should be enough barrels. More fun than a barrel of monkeys, as they say. And we should probably do this. So we have a bit of a backup here. And then I'm gonna need to craft like a significant amount of barrels. Empty barrels. So let's get that going. Is this good enough of a buffer? It's a buffer of 20 barrels, and given that the rate of this is faster than what we need, we should be okay. It's faster by 0.3 a second. So I think it'll be okay, but we'll have to keep an eye on that. It's possible barrels are gonna be a problem, and I might need another chest here. Or if I just want to guarantee that we're okay, I could do this. And then yes, now we're gonna have a buffer on the output side, but that's another 20 or whatever barrels that are in the input and in the output waiting to get output into there, so that should be more than fine. More than fine, I say. All right, water goes in. Actually, I don't really know where we're getting the water yet, but I'll just come over here. Okay. Now, we said we were going to pull off fluorospilinin and probably do that here. Or, yeah, fluorospilinin, and we'll pull off rich clay. So if those end up on the belt, that's fine. We've got it handled. Look at this spaghetti. How are you supposed to do this cleanly? I don't know. That's the thing with spoilage. Like, this is way dirtier than it would be. I guess part of the dirtiness is that we're doing a sushi belt, right? You don't have to do a sushi belt. But a sushi belt makes it so much easier to handle spoilage. You know, it's attractive for multiple reasons. Because then we can handle the spoilage in one spot. We don't have to worry about that pulling fluorospilinin off the end of the belt, right? If it's a non-sushi belt. Because it's a sushi belt, we can just pull it off wherever. And we should never have... I'm thinking here that this is not fast enough for all of the flora, but that's okay, because the flora is going to stop running if we're backed up on manure. Technically, we should also make the flora stop running if we run out of moss. But we should never run out of moss, because moss is a renewable resource, but the stone could be an issue. So if we like happen to run out of stone, which makes us run out of moss, then we could be out of moss, and then the flora spolinen is running, and then it just, or the flora is running, and it just keeps causing. You get what I'm saying. That works better like that. And I think I'm gonna hook these things up. Hopefully, we're okay. Gonna take a while for things to mix in. And then, I mean, for better or worse, I think we now are gonna be getting some manure. Weird. Weird, I guess. Okay, and then the last thing we need to do is handle the flora spolinen here. So we'll have the rich clay. It's a little tricky. Does flora have a burn value as well? It does. Here's my hot take. I need a few burners anyway. My hot take is we just burn the rich clay with whatever it is we have fuel value wise. Filters please. Flora. We just steal a couple of flora to burn the rich clay. And the decay result of flora spolinen has fuel value as well. I think we checked on that. It actually has more fuel value. So if it happens to decay in there, that's fine. It'll give us more fuel value, not less. And then, and I've decided, you know, I often do this as my little ash getter ridder of her, but I think it's gonna be cleaner to do this. It looks a lot cleaner. And then it makes the building a nice 3x4 instead of a, you know, weird bulky 5x3 with a gap. So there we go. So that's rich clay dealt with. We're gonna need a lot more flora collectors over here. Can't even really see what's going on here. Let's get you there. Apparently they're putting 600 on the belt. We need more than that. Going up to 1,000, baby. The only way to make that work right would be to loop it around the bottom. I don't know if I care enough about that. Okay, and those are 4 inserters, which we decided is enough. Wait, is that enough? That's literally exactly what we need. When did I think 4 was enough? Maybe I didn't calculate for 12 before. Oh, I think I was calculating for 10. That's what it was. That's what it was. Okay. All right, well, we did it. We've got manure. Awesome possum. So now we just finished this part, which requires an electric boiler. And we get native flora out, which then... Part of this is just organization. Like, I could have done this in a way that would have, let's see, we need to be on the left side, which is the bottom side, which is the right side here. You know, just rearranging a few of these buildings and belts would detangle it a little bit. So things are a little tangled up as the spaghetti goes. Boiler. And then what I'm thinking... We also do this. Now, this is what I'm curious about. This doesn't make too much steam, right? Like, one biomass doesn't make 30 steam, does it? No, there's no way. That would have to run one of these for 4 seconds. Yeah, no. Okay, we're good. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't gonna, like, screw something up here with, biomass being prioritized. And then you put out native flora. Alright, freshen it up with a steam bath. And then get the water down here. That should do it. We've now handled flora spolinin. I need more barrels still. That's not where the empties go. But yeah, I mean, I think we did a decent job here. We'll let that go up to 4 stacks because, you know, it just takes a little bit to use up all the rest of the ingredients. And the reason I think flora spolinin is important to have on the recycling list is because in this case, we are going to stop the process and we're going to need the flora back. Or, well, we're not going to need the flora back, but, like, it's going to stop. I also just realized we're going to have, like, a weird... I don't know. Like, let's say, you know, because we've got a few hundred flora built up in these inputs. So let's say now it stops for 10 hours. Well, all that flora is going to spoil. This is going to spit out all the flora spolinin. And now we've got multiple hundred flora spolinin flowing in over the course of, you know, 10 or 20 minutes. And then it's going to get all backed up here. And eventually this is going to spoil back into flora spolinin. And then it'll go on a magical journey. And it'll actually just fill up the belt. Uh-oh. Could this back up on flora spolinin is what I'm now asking myself. Because if this keeps trying to dump flora spolinin, it'll get taken out here though, so there should always be some space. Yeah, I guess we're okay. I just think we need a chest here. And then it can handle up to 0.8 a second over the course of time. But it only, if everything's backed up, it'll only need to cycle that fluorospolinen once every 3.2 hours. 3.2. 3.33 hours. 3 hours and 20 minutes. So I think we're actually fine. Having a buffer here, that should fix it. Weird situation for sure. Oh, and this, we need to do input priority right. Forgot about that. Definitely a bit of a weird situation, but I think this works okay. For recycling everything. So yeah, that is that, and now I guess we set up the AUG production itself, which we decided we just need 2 of these. Pretty simple. So let's set up these 2. 1, 2. Like this. I need 1 more AUG paddock. Of course I need 300 soil for that. Where's my nearest soil at? Right here. All right. And then because what I'm thinking is we need the same, like I'm gonna break up the squad here. And we're gonna turn over there and go around. Just to right here. And then in, and then in. And we won't do the out on this belt, of course. Because they need the same ingredients, plus AUG pups, which will feed from up here. In fact, we'll just feed from right here. AUG pups in, and then, oh, the water barrels need to get put back on the belt. Right. Okay, so water barrel, filter, empty, barrel goes on the left, or no, on the right. Yeah, is that what we decided? Yeah, on the moss side. Which means you can just do this. No, that's the wrong side. Shoot. Okay, so now the barrels are gotten rid of. The AUGs will be filtered out. And then that should do that. Boom, and we need a few more. Okay, so that should automate algae poos. I just realized my mistake. You may have already spotted it. This isn't gonna work when manure's backed up, which is a huge problem. It has to work when manure's backed up. So now I need a combinator because this needs to be an ore. Oh no. Analog ores are much harder than analog ands. So what we need... Just gonna get the water out of the way. What we need is... basically a splitter. Here. We need another one here that runs if augs are low, which is going to be based on some belted chest. For now, I'll just put them in this chest. Or why not put the chest closer to the source? That seems to make some amount of sense. So we're gonna measure augs, and then if that aug supply is low, then this will run. So that enables if aug is less than 400 augs. Why not? Okay, so that actually is an analog OR situation, where basically it will allow either way to flow if either of these conditions is true. But both of those is requiring that we have less than 500. So like these are ORed together and that's ANDed together. Now, on that note, we're gonna have combinators soon, and I do want to, I know other people have requested this feature, and I'm really, really hoping it comes in 2.1, because I think it's actually a big issue with using combinators in Factorio. The new combinators are wonderful, but you can't pick your parentheses when you're dealing with ORs and ANDs in the same combinator, and it makes it really tricky to do this or that. But both of those, like either way, I want to make sure we need this other thing. Like, which is basically what I'm doing here. This is actually difficult to do with a combinator, and you need to write the same, you need to do this and that, or this and that, rather than, you know, nesting it together with like this or that in parentheses, anded with this. I don't know if that made any sense. If it did, great. If it didn't, then it doesn't really matter. You'll get what I'm saying when we have combinators, if you don't already. But that's just something I found pretty annoying with the new combinators, because it makes it really messy. Like if you have like 5 conditions or something, then you have to do the ANDed condition 5 different times in the same combinator, rather than if you could make your own parentheses, you would just have to do that condition once. So it just makes the whole situation a lot messier. Yes, technically you can do it, but it's not pretty. Okay, this is also gonna have spoilage. Damn it, I thought we were done. So what we want is we actually want a blacklist on AUG, because then that will handle properly the decayed flora. Okay, that should work. So it'll output everything that isn't AUGs back onto the belt, which is going to be empty barrels and decayed flora. Okay. Sweet. I think we're working. Things are moving and grooving. All right, well, this has been a beautiful episode. I think we'll call it here, though. As always, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I'll see you all in the next episode.